All right, so welcome to our intermediate class today. Our theme this week is about self-love and self-acceptance. It's kind of a radical concept. So I would say that I spent a lot of my life trying to improve myself, reading self-help books and that kind of thing. And then it sort of dawned on me, or was pointed out to me, that can be a kind of aggression against oneself as well. Right? It's always trying to improve. And what you're giving yourself the message is, I'm not okay. I'm not good enough as I am. And so today, welcoming whatever arises. If frustration arises, rather than trying to push that away, could we welcome that in? If we feel anything really, whatever comes up, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, can we make our container for ourselves, for our self-acceptance, big enough to take it all in? Right? So not pushing away frustration, not pushing away challenge, not pushing away even anger or doubt or whatever comes up, but allowing it, accepting it, opening up this container of self-acceptance to include as much as possible. So that is our challenge today. That's our work today. We're going to start seated. We'll do a little bit of a check-in seated, and then we'll go from there. So get yourselves a comfortable seat. It could be on a chair or on the floor or a cushion, whatever works for you. And we'll go from there. So I'll see you on the mat. Find a comfortable seat. It does not have to be cross-legged as I am. You can have your legs stretched out. You can be on a chair, just working with the position that feels right for you. We'll do a little bit of movement here. So once you find your seat, do some little circles, moving around your sit bones. Little circles one way and the other to really see if you can find a place where your weight is even on both sit bones. You might need to adjust a little bit. And then letting your sit bones really support you, the pelvis supporting you, shoulders over the hips, and your head over your shoulders. And then you can either cast your gaze down and soften your focus, or you can close your eyes altogether. I invite you to tune into your body. So tune into what you notice, what's present. So if that's a bit of discomfort or pain, that's fine, notice that. But try not to dwell with your attention there. So you're simply noticing what's present in your body right now without trying to change it. If you do notice areas that are painful or uncomfortable and you can't adjust to accommodate them, I invite you to not place all of your attention there, but notice an area maybe that feels uncomfortable or painful, and then shift your attention. Find somewhere in your body that feels good or feels neutral, and then shift back. So you're going back and forth between what's less comfortable, what's more comfortable. And whatever you discover, I invite you to accept and open to whatever is. Welcome whatever you notice. The good, the bad, the uncomfortable, all of it. Last week we were using the body and the breath as a focus to come back to when the mind wandered, and you can follow along with that same idea today, coming back to what is in the present moment whenever your mind wanders. But we'll add another element, and that's that element of radical, deep self-acceptance and love. So whatever you notice, if it's uncomfortable, if you're frustrated with yourself, if you can't do something, totally fine. Absolutely open yourself to welcome and accept all of those feelings, frustration, whatever it is, challenge. And so I'm not trying to push anything away today, but at the same time, not dwelling there, coming back to the moment. Let's take a moment to focus on the breath and simply feel the breath as it is. So we're welcoming the breath in whatever form it takes, deep or shallow. Whether you feel it in one part of your body or another is absolutely irrelevant. Simply feeling it as it is. Become curious about your own breath. Notice whatever thoughts are drawing your attention. So as you sit, is your mind being pulled somewhere else? And if so, notice where that somewhere else is, but come back to the present, either focusing on the body or the breath again. And each time your mind gets pulled, just notice that pull and see if you can come back to this moment. And then be aware of any feelings or emotions that may be present. And perhaps when you hear the suggestion to accept everything that comes up today, to welcome even the challenging feelings, notice how that lands for you. Do you feel open to that suggestion, or is there a little bit of resistance? And again, accepting and being with whatever is there. And let's take a few breaths with a little movement of the arms to bring ourselves into alignment with our practice today. So taking the arms to the sides, fingers spread out and palms up. And we're going to lift up as if we're gathering and welcoming all that we are into one beautiful package, bringing the hands together and inviting all of that energy into the heart. Pause here for a breath. Okay. And then again, we'll take the arms to the sides. Inhale again, like we're welcoming and gathering all that is and bringing it to the heart. Pausing there for a few breaths. It's often easy to welcome and accept the good feelings, a little more challenging to accept and welcome the icky feelings. So once more, all that is, all that we experience, all part of this beautiful, challenging human existence. Bring back to the heart for a couple of breaths. Shoulders down, crown of the head lifting. And then let's put a little pressure into the hands. You're pressing the palms together. You might feel some engagement across the muscles of your chest. You might feel a little stretch in the forearms and wrists. And then we're going to keep the bases, or keep the length of your fingertips or fingers together, and take the heels of the hands away a little bit. So you're stretching the fingers. And then release, turn the fingertips down back, so the hands together, and gently draw the elbows down a little bit to stretch across the top of the wrists. And then we'll separate and do a few circles with the wrists. You can circle one way and the other. Right. And then taking the arms, stretching them out to the side, fingers wide, fingertips reaching from the center. And then we'll make the hands into fists and curl the fists down toward the ground. And then open the hands as you lift the fingertips toward the ceiling. If it feels like a lot of stretch, bend your elbows a little bit or don't lift quite so much. And then fists point down, fingertips reach up. Notice if you're holding your breath and see if you can allow the breath to move with ease. Great, make fists and do a few circles. Notice if you're bringing tension to your jaw or your neck, and if so, try to soften that. Maybe drop the elbows a little bit if that's helpful. Good. And then give the hands a shake. So just let them loose, give them a shake. You can shake them up overhead, shake them out in front, down toward the ground. Right. And then just let the arms come and rest on hands on your thighs or your lap. And just take a moment to notice any sensations in your shoulders, arms, and hands. Notice what you're aware of. So then from here, we're going to reach the hands back behind us. You can interlace your fingers if that's available to you. Otherwise, just keep the arms apart. Draw the hands down, shoulder blades down, heart lifting. Relax your jaw. A couple of breaths here. And then taking the arms out to the sides, take a big breath in, palms forward. And take one arm over the other. Bring your hands to opposite shoulders. Let your elbows sink down towards your chest so shoulder blades get a little wider now. Let your head come down and you can soften and round your upper back a little bit. And then either taking just the head a little side to side, or you can take the elbows as well and move the upper back a bit side to side. All right, lifting back up to the center. Notice which arm you have on top, and then we'll release. Bring the hands behind the back again. Interlace your fingers. Stretch down and back. Lifting the heart. Relax your jaw and take a few breaths here. You may even tilt your head a little side to side here for a bit of extra stretch in the neck if that feels good. Or even a little half circle. You can play around with a bit of movement, what feels right for you here. Great, and then when you come back to the center, we'll stretch the arms out to the sides again. Palms forward and opposite arm on top now. Elbows sink down, shoulders sink down. And bring the head down and a little bit of softening into the upper back. And again, it may just be a little side to side movement with your head. Or you might take the elbows and sway a little side to side. Okay, coming back to the center, lifting the upper back, releasing the arms up, and releasing all the way down. Lovely. Let's come over onto all fours now and do a little movement for the spine. So you can swing your legs around, come onto your hands and knees. So hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and whatever version of cat-cow or all fours to child's pose works best for you. So drawing the chest forward as you inhale, and then either rounding your back and tucking your head in, or adding that movement hips to heels as you exhale. Inhaling, arching, exhaling, some version of rounding, whatever feels right for you. Whenever you feel ready, if you like, you can start to bring in downward dog and maybe alternate from child's pose on one exhale to downward dog on the other exhale, coming to all fours in between with your inhale. You're coming down as you inhale, moving to child's pose or downward dog, and then back up. Following your own rhythm, and at any point, if your body says yes to staying either in downward dog or child's pose, you can stay for a few breaths. If you're staying in downward dog, you might experiment with walking your feet on the spot to bring a little more opening into the backs of the legs. And if you're wanting to spend a bit of time in child's pose, you can either do so with the knees together, or you can separate the knees and then either be on the forearms or let your head rest right on the ground. So take a few breaths here. And coming back to that idea of accepting whatever it is that you're aware of in each moment. The good, the bad, the challenging, the frustrating, the joyful. And then let's slowly come back to all fours, so from wherever you happen to be. And we'll do a little side-to-side movement, so taking the hips one way and the other, letting the head go, in whatever way feels right. So don't try to control the movement too much. Just let the hips guide and the spine follow. You can add some circles if that feels good, letting the hips come back toward the heels and circling around. You can add a gaze over the shoulder to stretch out one side and then the other. And then maybe a few rounds of cat-cow or all fours to child's pose, perhaps adding in downward dog again. Okay. And then when you're ready, we're going to tuck the toes under, walk the hips back, the hands back towards the knees, and then lift up your knees so you're coming into a squat. And let's pause here in the squat for a few breaths. You can keep your hands on the ground. Now some of you will comfortably have your heels down, some of you will be up on your toes, and it actually doesn't matter. Maybe a little bit more challenging to balance if you're on your toes, but you can try bringing your body upright. Good. See if you can find your balance there. Always bringing the hands back down to support you if you need to. Great. And from here, let's bring the fingertips down. Slowly move the legs a little straighter. Keep a bend in the knees. Let your head reach down toward the ground. Let your arms hang down. So you could clasp your hands, tucking them into, or not clasp them, but tuck your hands into opposite elbow creases if you like, or just let the arms dangle, or if you want support for your low back, bringing the elbows up onto the thighs. A couple more breaths here. If you like, you can sway side to side and invite a little more length in your spine. And then wherever you are, you let the arms dangle down. I'm going to keep the knees soft and slowly roll ourselves upright, bringing the head up last. So as you come upright, bringing your feet underneath your hips. And we'll lift the shoulders and roll them back and down. So I invite you to do this with lots of mindfulness, tuning into what you're aware of, what you notice, what you feel, and not pushing away any sensations, but inviting it all in, even those challenging or difficult areas of the body. Can we simply acknowledge as it is? Right, now let's roll one shoulder and then the other. Let your whole body move. The head can move a little, just making sure you don't get dizzy. And then go the other direction. Great, and then let's come back to the center. So we're going to shift the weight onto one foot, come up onto the toes, and then shift to the other foot. So just almost like you're walking on the spot, but without lifting the other foot. And just tune into how your balance feels today. Does it feel really easy? Does it feel a little wobbly when you start to bring weight to one foot? And if it feels good, you can start to actually lift the opposite foot as you go side to side. Right, and then you can add on to that. So as you lift one leg, the opposite arm reaches up, the other arm goes back, and then shift. So knees coming up, that's it. And one more. One more on each side. And release. So we wouldn't walk down the street marching like that. We walk more sort of back like so, or you could think of this as kind of the skiing motion. So as one leg goes back now, the opposite arm is forward. So we're back. Sorry, same arm is forward, opposite arm is back. So whichever leg is back, opposite arm forward. Good. So kind of awkward when we slow this sort of movement down. Right, and then come back to the center. So we're strengthening the back and the front of the hips with that movement. So let's take the feet a little bit apart now. Bring the hands to the hips, soften your knees, and do a few circles with your hips. A few times one way and then go the other way. Great, and then come back to the center. So we'll move into some sun salutations. So you'll want to move towards the front of your mat. Mine's a little occupied now, so I'm just going to try and clear some space. Good. Good. Oh, we got a downward dog, the upward dog going on there. There we go. Good girl. Up you go. There we go. All right. So had a little demonstration of upward dog from Chai. We'll move into our sun salutation and do our own version. So heels sink down, let your hips come back over your heels, let the heart lift and the arms hang down. And then from here again, take the palms out. We're going to breathe in, and as if we're gathering all that is, bringing it down through the body, softening the knees and reaching toward the ground, releasing the hands, releasing the head. We'll inhale and come to a half forward bend and then exhale to release. Bring your fingertips down. If you have blocks and want to use them, this would be a good place. We'll step back with the right leg to come into lunge. So in lunge, think about drawing the back hip forward, forward hip back. So you want to feel that you're engaged through the thighs, through the hips. And then from here, we're going to come to downward dog. So you'll step back, soften your knees, press into your palms, let your head come down between your arms. And imagine you're trying to pull your hands together on the mat without actually moving them. So you feel your arms engaged, chest engaged. Right. And then let's lower the knees. For the next one, you want to make sure your hands are ahead of your shoulders, so they're not right back under your shoulders, but a good 6 inches ahead, so that when you shift your hips forward and you come into a straight line from knees to shoulders, your hands, wrists are underneath your shoulders. And then from there, bend your arms and let your thighs come down. So we're rolling down thighs, belly, chest, forehead. And then slide your arms forward so your elbows are on the ground. Press down into your hips and thighs. Lift your chest and head. And walk your elbows out so that your elbows are right underneath your shoulders and supporting you. If you feel like your lower back kind of jams up here, then what you're going to do is you're going to lift your belly button a little bit, engage the core, and press down into your thighs. Squeeze your thighs. So you're taking some of the bend out of your lower back. Now you can stay here in this position, or if you want to work a little bit more here, tuck your toes under. You can either just lift up onto your knees, so you'll feel your core working, or you can lift your knees right off the ground as well. Into plank. It's harder to talk in this pose. Good, let's lower the knees if you brought them up. We'll lower the hips. Right, walk the hands back so you can come face down. And then we're going to keep walking the hands back, more or less as far as you can go without the heels of your hands lifting. So somewhere around the lower rib cage. And then from here, start to lift up. You can come up onto your knees, or if you like, you can tuck your toes under and lift into upward dog. So the more you lift through your belly, the less back bend there is. So from here, if possible, lift straight back to downward dog. And then take a few breaths here. You can walk on the spot if you like. And then we're going to get that right foot forward between the hands, so whatever it takes to get there. And again, you want to feel engaged. So right leg, the front leg is moving back at the hip, back leg pulling forward into the hip joint. And then from there, we'll step forward. Let your head release down. Take a breath or two here. And then hands to shins, come part way up with a breath in. Exhale to release. And inhale, come all the way up. Like you're gathering all that is, bringing the hands together, back to the heart. So, one of the things that's quite commonly said is that we learn who we are not so much in the easy times, but in the challenging times. Can we kind of stay with ourselves? Can we accept ourselves even when things are challenging? So as we go through the next sun salutation, I invite you to keep that in mind. Can we be kind to ourselves even when things get challenging? So it might not be challenging for you, so see how it goes. But releasing the arms, reaching up, breathing in, bringing the hands together, bowing forward. Releasing the hands, releasing the head, and then we'll inhale, hands to shins to lengthen. The exhale, fold forward. We'll step back this time with the left leg. So coming into lunge, again, we want to square the hips. You really want to feel your legs and your hips are working and engaging to protect from overstretching here. And then from here, think about a little lift in the heart. So come up to your fingertips, try and find a nice long spine. And then if it's available to you, take your arms out to the sides. Good. From there, press into your front foot and slowly lift up. As you lift, you can take the arms up overhead. If this is too much for you, alter the pose to make it work for you. Good. If you want a little more challenge, bend your back knee. Bring it down to hover just over the ground. Listen to what you tell yourself. If this gets challenging and you need to modify, try to do it with as much love and acceptance as possible. Right, lifting the back knee, take the arms down. It will come back to downward dog. You can take a few breaths in your downward dog. Again, head down between the arms. Imagine you're pulling the mat together. Hands moving towards each other. Feel your shoulder blades engage. Right, from here, we'll lower the knees. Again, you want the hands ahead of the shoulders. So you can either walk your knees back or hands forward so you get into a good position. And then test by coming into the kneeling plank. If your hands are too far back, it's going to be hard on your wrists. If it's too far forward, you might feel like you're reaching a bit much. So find that perfect spot. And then from there, bend and roll down. It will slide the elbows forward. Press down into the hips and thighs. Lift the chest and walk the elbows underneath your shoulders. So again, the more you engage the core and lift the belly button, the more you're going to find that there's less back bend. So find the version that works for you. You can also pull back with your elbows a bit to lift the heart. And then you have the choice to stay here, to lift up onto the knees, or to lift right up onto the toes. Right, you can lower the knees if you've lifted them, lower the thighs, the belly. Walk the hands back, lowering down. And you walk the hands right back so that they're by the lower rib cage somewhere. And then again, press down into the hips and thighs. And then inhale to lift. And you can stop anywhere along the way, or you can lift it right up into upward dog, maybe lifting right up onto your toes. From there, use your core, pull back with your belly to lift your hips toward the ceiling. Coming to downward dog and walking on the spot. And then we'll take the left foot, step it forward. Come to your fingertips and lengthen your spine. Square the hips, drawing back with your front leg, forward with your back leg. If you want to take it to the next position, arms to the sides, keep lifting your heart, and then slowly lift up, raising the arms. Breathing here. Again, if you want more, back knee hovers above the ground. Good, you can lift the back knee, lower the hands, and step forward. Great, inhale, hands to shins, lengthen. Exhale and fold. Take a couple more breaths here. You can let the arms hang, or cross the arms, or come up to your thighs, whatever feels good. Maybe a little side to side movement if you like. And then we'll come all the way up, reaching up, bringing the hands together, back to the heart, and taking a couple of breaths here. Good, and then slowly release. And again, arms to the sides, lifting up. Hands together, coming forward, soften your knees as you release forward. Inhale, half forward bend, and then exhale to release. We'll take the right leg and step back, but this time instead of lunge, we're going to turn the toes to the side, preparing for warrior. And then lifting up in warrior one. Right, we'll turn to the right, so you're going to open your right foot a little bit. Keeping your left knee over your left ankle, arms to the sides in warrior two. From warrior two, reaching towards your front leg, dropping the elbow down onto the thigh, reaching the other arm up, and pause here for a few breaths. And if you want to work a little harder, take the elbow from your thigh and drop that arm straight down the inside of your leg, pushing back against the inner thigh, and lifting the other shoulder back a little. Beautiful. I say beautiful, I can't see you, but I know it's beautiful. Good, reaching up, come back to warrior two. Right, we're gonna turn the back palm up, so your right hand, lift your back heel, swing that back arm over your head as you pivot, bring your hands down, step back to downward dog. Couple of breaths in downward dog. Okay, then lowering the knees. Again, hands a little forward of the shoulders so that when you come into the kneeling plank, you're lined up over your wrists with the shoulders. Bend your elbows, roll down. And then bring your elbows forward, pressing up onto your elbows. Walk your arms forward so they're underneath your shoulders. Pull back with the arms to draw the chest forward. Press down into your thighs. Engage the belly. Lift a little. And feel the strength. This is Sphinx pose. From Sphinx, you can take it into either a kneeling plank, lifting the belly, or lifting right up off the knees. Right, lower down again. Come back down. Walk the hands back again so they're somewhere near the lower rib cage, just honoring your wrists. If you go too far back, you can put strain on the wrists. So just really tuning in. Press down into your thighs. Lifting up into upward dog. So you don't want the shoulders coming up. Keep the arms nice and relaxed. So elbows can be bent a little if you want to lift up. The arms might straighten, but you still want to keep pressing down with the shoulders. From here, let's lower the knees and shift back to child's pose. In child's pose, you can rock your hips a little side to side. When you're ready, coming up to all fours again. Tucking under your toes, lifting your knees, coming into downward dog. And then you're going to get that right foot forward between your hands. Take the back foot, turn it up to the side so it's fully on the ground. We'll lift up into warrior one. Make that shift, turning to the left for warrior two. So right knee stays over the right ankle. You can play around with the angle of your left foot till it's comfortable. And then reaching out to the right towards the front leg, let the elbow come down onto the thigh, other arm reaching straight up. And again, if you want to work more here, take that support away, so reach down with your right arm, press back a little into the inner thigh, and reach up and back with the left shoulder. Lifting back up to warrior two. Back heel lifts as you swing the arm over. Bring your hands down and step forward. Bring your hands to your shins and lengthen as you breathe in. Exhale as you release. Let your head go and take a couple more breaths here. Any version of the forward bend that you like. And then we'll come all the way up. Reaching up with a breath in. Let's bring the hands together, back into the heart. Another breath here. And then exhaling to release. Okay, so we'll do another little series that works with the breath. It's a little bit different from sun salutation, but has some of the same kind of qualities of moving with the breath. So we'll take a breath in. We'll start by reaching the arms up, and as you exhale, one knee will come in, hands can come around or under the knee, and then drop that foot as you lift the arms, and exhale, other side. So we'll go side to side a couple of times just to tune in to that balance challenge. Great, now next time you've got your right knee coming in toward your chest, pause there. See if you can find a nice lift in your spine. If you lose your balance, don't worry about it, just bring the knee back in. And then we're going to step back into warrior one. So you're going to take that right foot, turn it to the side as you step back, lifting up into warrior one. Great, from here, moving the front leg straighter, reaching down toward the ground, or if you have blocks, you can use blocks, let your head release. You can move the front leg a little more bent, a little more straight if you like. Easing into those hamstrings. Great, and then bending the front leg. If you like, you can step the back foot to a position that's comfortable if it's a little forward or back. So you want to feel that lift as we did in warrior, through coming to the fingertips, lifting through the heart. From there, take the arms to the sides. You can stay here, or if you're feeling daring, you can step onto your front foot and lift your back leg into warrior 3. So either coming up to warrior 1 now or staying in warrior 3. I'm going to come forward with that leg, bringing it into the heart, into the chest. And then drop it down as you lift up. And release. That was fun. We'll try the other side, see how that goes. So reaching up with the arms, breathing in. Bring the other knee in, pause for a few breaths. Stepping back, warrior 1. Find your stability in warrior 1. And then when you're ready, fingertips can come to the ground or hands to blocks, let your head release. And you can work to bend and straighten that front leg a little. And then a little bend in the knees so that your knee and ankle more or less line up. You can play around with the position of your back foot to feel comfortable here. Come up to your fingertips and find length in your spine. Arms to the sides. So again, you can either keep the back foot down and lift up to warrior 1, or if you like, you can step onto your front foot and lift to warrior 3. So from either position, I'm going to bring the leg forward and in. Foot down, arms up. Inhaling. Let's come down into a forward bend. Exhaling. Inhale, hands to shins, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. Take a couple more breaths here. And then all the way up with a breath in. Hands together. Exhale. Hands to the heart. Breathing in, lifting. Reaching out to the sides and coming all the way forward. You can step the feet back, or you can hop if you like to come to downward dog. Take a few breaths in downward dog. You can walk on the spot if you like, or whatever feels good here. And then we'll lower the knees to the mat. And take the knees apart towards the edges of your mat if you're using a mat. And then sink your hips back towards your heels. Let your belly be really nice and relaxed, accepting your belly as it comes between your legs. You can rest your head on your hands or on the mat, arms wherever they're comfortable, and we'll take a few breaths here. If this version of child's pose isn't comfortable, please find another that is. Letting the breath move down into the belly. Let the belly be soft, relaxed. Letting go of the effort now. We'll move into a few slower stretches. And accepting with love, with radical self-acceptance, whatever has been present for you in the class and is present for you right now. And when you're ready, you'll lift up. You can come up onto your heels, bringing your body up over your hips, and then swing the legs around to come to sit. You don't need to sit on anything for this. It's best really just to be on the ground. So you can take your feet out in front of you, hands behind you, and a little bit of side to side movement for the knees. So if you start to crawl forward, you can just push back or bring your hands forward at any time. And after you've gone side to side a few times, you can add the twist. So you'll bring both knees down to one side. You'll release the opposite arm. Bring it around behind you to the ground. So both hands are on the ground, or one could be on your leg if you can't quite reach around. You can use your hands on the ground. So lift your spine tall and look over your back shoulder. Right, and then release. We'll go around to the other side. So again, you want to lengthen the spine by using a bit of force against the ground to lift you up. And then slowly coming back around to the front. And now we're going to take the soles of the feet together, let the knees come apart, and let your feet be quite far away from your hips. So there's a wide angle. And then from here, big breath in, reach up. As you exhale, bring your hands down into the space in that diamond shape, and then you can start to walk forward. So it may be just bracing your hands against the ground. For some of you, you might come down onto your elbows and slide the hands underneath your ankles. Let the head come down in turtle pose. Taking a few breaths here, breathing into the back of your body. Feeling that inward, introspective energy of the turtle. And pull into yourself. And stay here for a few breaths. Try to relax your neck even a little bit more. And then gradually, as you're ready to come up slowly. And stretch the legs out, lean back on your hands, and give your legs a little shake. And then take one leg and slightly bend it, just enough to bring your foot to the floor. Lean back even more as you take the other ankle and bring it across the thigh. And then you can walk the foot on the floor in towards you a little bit and walk your hands in to start to lift up a bit. You'll probably feel some stretch in the outer hip of the leg that's lifted. The more you slump back, the less stretch you'll feel. And also the more you straighten the leg that's on the ground, the less stretch you'll feel. So finding that perfect place. And if it's intense, you might lift the chest and come into the stretch and then slump back to release the stretch. Or you can just stay in one position and find the stretch that feels good for you, relaxing into it as much as possible. Try not to slump up your shoulders to your ears, so press back and keep lengthening the spine. And as you're ready, you can slowly stretch out the leg on the ground. Take the leg that was on the ankle that was on the knee and bring it to the ground. Bring your hands around the knee and lift up tall. Right, so whatever knee is up, you're going to keep the opposite hand on that knee. So if it's your right knee, it's your left hand, or vice versa. And if it's available to you, you can even wrap your arm around the leg, turning towards it. The other arm reaches up to lengthen. Big breath in, and then exhale. Bring that hand behind you. Turn to look behind you. Use the hand on the ground. So you're turning towards that leg. Hand on the ground to help lift your spine tall. And breathe. And slowly release around to the front. Stretch that leg out. And give both legs a little shake. And then slightly bend the opposite leg. You can lean way back to bring that ankle up over the thigh. And then using your own body as a guide as to how much stretch you want. You can bring the foot in or bring the back more upright, depending on what feels good for you. And breathing here. Try to relax the knee that's up away from you. So there's a tendency to pull it in. Just relax it away as much as possible. And breathe. Ready, you're going to straighten out the leg and bring the foot right across and onto the floor. Hands around the knee, using a little bit of So a little pressure against the knee to lift the spine tall. And then again, opposite hand to knee. So whichever knee is up, if it's the right knee, it'll be the left hand. You can either keep your hand around the knee or wrap your arm around the knee. Lifting the opposite arm to lengthen the spine, breathe in and lift. And then exhale to turn. Use the hand now on the ground to keep lengthening your spine as you look back over your shoulder. Breathing. Right, and then slowly release around to the front. And uncross. And again, give a little shake. And then we're going to bring the feet straight out in front so the knees are bent. Lift your spine up tall, so bring your hands around your knees. Good. And then slowly start to move backwards. You can kind of roll down slowly. And when you get to the mat, bring your knees up into your chest, one hand to each knee, and we'll make that movement of the knees forward or back. You can coordinate your breath if you like. So you exhale as the knees come in, and inhale as the knees move away. Vary the movement in whatever way would feel good. So circle either the knees together or apart, or rock side to side, or just hold your knees and breathe. Take a moment, whatever movement would feel good, to continue to release and lengthen the lower back. You can release the feet to the floor when you're ready, arms to the side, and just a few nice, easy bridge poses. So press into the feet first, and then start to lift the hips. Just let the breath be natural here, lifting and lowering at your own pace. If it feels good to stay in bridge for a few breaths, go ahead and stay, or you can just keep moving in and out of the pose a few more times. And if you're staying, especially in this pose, try to find the most easeful expression. So your throat, your neck, your face, your shoulders all stay relaxed. The legs, of course, are working. Find the least amount of effort to be in the pose. And then eventually, gradually, slowly release down. You take your legs and stretch them out. Take your arms and reach them overhead. Roll long for a few breaths. You're pressing down into your heels to feel your lower back lengthen a little on the ground. And then release. Bring the arms down. And you can find your way into whatever position you might be comfortable for a few minutes of rest in Shavasana. So if you need a blanket, or if you want to support your head with a pillow or a bolster under the knees, so just take a minute to get yourself organized, to get comfortable. If you prefer to sit for Shavasana, that's fine too. So come back to your breath now. Just let the breath be easeful as much as possible, without controlling the breath at all. Just simply notice that you're breathing. And create the intention of bringing in greater ease and relaxation with each exhalation. So as you exhale, feel your muscles soften around the bones. And feel your body drop into the earth a little bit more. Relax the muscles around your jaw and face. And as you exhale, feel the weight of your head sink down into the ground. Let your shoulders go, your arms and hands release and relax. And feel the movement of your breath through your torso. And with each exhalation, let your rib cage get heavier, your belly and lower back soften, and the weight of your pelvis sinking down, relaxing the muscles of your buttocks, abdomen, pelvic floor, all around your hips. Let your thighs release a little more if possible. And let your knees soften and drop. Relax your calves, ankles, feet. Let your whole body drop as you exhale, letting go of tension, but also accepting and being with and welcoming whatever is present for you. If letting go of tension feels challenging or impossible today, notice that with acceptance. If you feel yourself falling asleep, notice that with acceptance. I'll share with you a chant that is offered as a blessing for a long, prosperous life. And this idea that we move more gracefully through our lives when we accept what is in ourselves, in others, and in the world, doesn't mean that we don't work to create positive change, but that we come from a place of acceptance rather than a place of denial, shutting down. Aroti Rupani Juhoti Rupair Evai Nagum Samardhayati Tasya Upotaya Karnama Japedi Devante Dite Saraswati Priye Preyasimahi Vishrutyetante Agnaye Namani Sukritama Deveshu Brutaditi Devedhya Evai Namah Vedayatyam Nandeva Buddhyante. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. If you're ready to move out of Shavasana, you can start to deepen your breath. If you want to stay a little longer, you can just ignore me for now. If you're deepening your breath, you can gradually add some movement, fingers and toes, ankles and wrists, arms and legs, just moving, stretching any way that would feel good. Eventually, you can roll onto your side, taking your time to slowly come back upright. And then bringing your palms together. And in your own mind, in your own words, if it interests you, you might make a commitment to yourself to follow this theme into your day, maybe into your week. I'm noticing where you create resistance and finding radical self-acceptance for all that is, welcoming in the good, the bad, the ugly. It doesn't mean that nothing ever changes or that you don't work for positive change, but that you come from a place of deep love and acceptance rather than a place of shame or denial or frustration. Well, there may be frustration, absolutely. But letting go of thinking how we should be in favor of how we actually are in each moment. Namaste. Enjoy your day and your week, and I hope that theme is useful and helpful to you. I'll see you next week.